And here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty bad.
That was pretty good. Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
What?
I don't know.
I'm a voice instrumentalist, man. Sweat Equity Podcast and streaming show, the #1 comedy business podcast in the world. Pragmatic entrepreneurial advice with real blue humor. Is that better?
What?
Is that better than real raw dog talk?
No.
Listen to us.
Don't describe it at all. just leave it.
Listen to us on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. What else are we on? iHeartRadio.
All of them. Name
all
them.
those. Deezer, yeah.
That's one.
Stitcher. All those audio apps that who knows who listens to them, but it's out there, man. All the audio's out there. We're on YouTube for video, if you like that. If you're one of the Gen Zs that likes to listen to podcasts on YouTube.
Watch them, you mean?
Yeah. That's what the young kids, the youngins do.
Yeah.
This episode, we're going to roll through these sponsors real quick. All the links to get the hookup on all these will be in the description of this episode. Squarespace, your all-in-one e-commerce website builder, drag and drop, super easy, dog. Get it with our link in the episode description. Hooks you up, hooks us up. Hey, you want to track all the calls on your website? Get some call rail with some call swap numbers that'll record all the calls from people click to call on your site.
It'll auto tag the conversations.
One of our favorites in-house is Bigly Sales, friend of the program, a CRM with marketing outreach of email, SMS, phone, pay-as-you-go marketing. And then lastly is LinkedIn Premium, 2 months free. 2 months free.
It's like $60.
That shit is expensive
Yeah.
now, but the targeting is so good.
Yeah.
Just like we're targeting this episode with a lot of humor and wisdom. Hotty toddy.
It's called sweat equity.
Listening to the Sweat Equity Podcast.
Well, that should show how effective your last time on here was, because I think Eric and I have kind of talked about your interview, I don't know, at least a dozen times.
Oh, that's nice. I was very honored when you invited me back.
Yeah. I mean, we're into it, right? We're going?
Yeah, we just started.
Yeah. And so I think we didn't realize, how impactful storytelling is until you kind of got it in our ear. Before we get into it, we got to ask an intimate question like we usually do with our new guests. But since you're returning, I'll let you revise your answer if you want. Any changes to what advice you would give yourself at 13 years old?
At 13 years old? Gosh, I remember 13 actually, because I felt like I was really officially arrived at being a teenager. And I think the biggest advice I would give myself was, you don't know nearly as much as you think you do, so calm down.
We may not have asked you that the first time
Yeah,
around.
actually,
the way you answered it.
Yeah, John was like, "Oh, that's a great question. Never heard that before."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, okay, we didn't ask you the first time. I think we got right into it when you got on half a year ago. But you don't know as much as you think you do, which, you could kind of say that at any age, really. I feel like...
Yeah,
it's
but
like,
the calm down part is really the advice, I think, of, I was very anxious about what's going to happen to my life. Am I going to make it? I had I was just not happy in the moment. I was always worried about the future for several years in that time frame.
Did you ever...
So my advice
Go ahead.
No, my advice would be to just relax a little bit and enjoy where I am, as opposed to always... I had a very much of a mindset, as soon as this happens, then I'll be happy. whether it was a car or a job or getting into the right university or all these other things I thought I needed, that I was not happy where I was at that stage.
I believe that's the hedonistic treadmill, right? You get to the, or Stairmaster, I can't remember the phrase, but you get to that
ladder. Yeah.
This is why, like, a lot of celebrities, pop stars, like, they get up to that level, and you're like, why are you miserable? You're rich,
Right.
you're famous.
Athletes want to be rappers.
Right.
Rappers want to be athletes.
Everybody doesn't seem comfortable in the position they're crushing it in, talking entertainment or sports or whatever. But what do you think? Did you ever kind of do that deep dive, that kind of mushroom in the forest introspection to kind of figure out why you may have been anxious, or was it very
he means eating mushrooms, magic mushrooms?
I know what
I wasn't sure you weren't the mushroom yourself, like you weren't a mushroom.
Go in the forest with some portobello,
right,
and really treat yourself.
I think part of my awareness at this stage in my life was at 13 I thought I was gay. I wasn't 100% sure I even knew what that meant. And I had a lot of trepidation around that and fear of not being enough. So I overcompensated. So I'll be the best son. I'll be the best student. I'll be the best employee, just to try to get to a baseline of, am I okay enough to compensate for this thing that a lot of people have problems with? So I think that's where it stemmed from.
That's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
That side of it is just, man, I can't imagine dealing with that as a 13-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's interesting. I've had we don't know if you're gay or not.
Yes, I am. Yeah,
we're guessing by that answer, but it was like,
turns out not gay.
We don't. Yeah, I don't know. I've talked
to time in my life.
I've talked to a lot of stand-up comedians that thought they were for like a couple of years of their life and never told anybody, and then they're not, or maybe they are. And they don't want to talk about it as an adult, but. Like, I would say we don't really ask what you're into on the show to the guests, but that's interesting because I definitely have friends in my life that are gay that did the overcompensation because they felt like it was it was negative on the balance sheet for them growing up, and so to deflect it in a weird way, like you overcompensate in everything else. Is that so? That's kind of how you did it.
There's a book out called The Best Little Boy in the World, which goes into that whole premise of you have to be the best in order to be loved or accepted, to just be good enough, and it's freaking exhausting. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I'm sure, and it sounds like you've honed that anxiety and made it a positive. Is that fair to say?
Oh gosh, I still have my moments. It's not around that. But I am constantly having to work on staying in the present moment. I tend to be someone who's fairly impatient. I remember when my first book was coming out, I was like, what do you mean it takes a year for the book to come out? Why can't it come out sooner? Or I'm waiting for a job offer or a sale or something. Why is it taking so long? And that creates a lot of anxiety instead of just accepting of this is what it is. They're just, life doesn't work on my timeline. And in the meantime, I'm not enjoying being in the moment because I'm so anxious about when something is going to happen that I think needs to happen in order for me to be happy in the future because I'm not happy in the present. So it's a different kind of anxiety. But that's where it started, was the whole I'm not good enough thing, which is now just getting to the point, hopefully, where I am a little more patient with myself and with whatever else is going on in the world. That like even the pandemic, I was like, are you kidding me? 18 months. There's no way I can tolerate that for 18 months. So that all that is just an ongoing journey and a lesson of, that's what's going to take, or it's going to be like this for the next 18 months, whether you like it or not. And maybe not, maybe even longer. The unknown part of that really drove me crazy. Of all the things that I look back on, it was how long is this going to be like this was the most anxiety provoking thing for me.
Well, I was listening to your TEDx talk, Be the Lifeguard of Your Own Life, and you brought up a theme that we've talked about on this show for easily 7 years, is the fear of the unknown, and you just kind of brought it up.
Yes.
You know, that impatience, I don't know if that's always bad if you're asking questions because you're new to it. It sounds like this is your first book.
Yeah.
You have the ability to ask those questions because you're new to it. So you might be able to have people on the other side tolerate it, but you're like, they're Simon Schuster, whoever did your book, is like, this is how it rolls.
Name one other publisher. Name one.
Penguin.
Damn it. I knew that one. Dude. Name one other
He's on a
one. Now
roll.
name one other
Very
one.
well read, this one. Yeah.
I used to read books, and then I had kids. But it's every time they see me on my computer or crack a book open, it's like I might as well just be sitting there doing nothing to them because they're like, "What's up? What's up? Hey."
Noticing.
Well, hey, so when you have these moments of anxiety and fear, do you have any processes or anything that you specifically do to help cope with that?
Yes. And what brings me a lot of joy is when I've shared this with other people and they're going through a stressful time. I have a friend who's an entrepreneur and she didn't sleep for 3 days. Something was crashing and she was so stressed out. And she's like, I'm trying to use your 5-5-5 method while I'm in it, which is you zoom out and you think of yourself as the movie director of your own life. And you ask yourself, will this matter in 5 minutes? How about 5 hours? How about 5 days from now? And that also really helps me zoom out and get some perspective on things. I mean, like somebody cuts you off in traffic, you can let that bog you. Or if you're still thinking about that 5 days later, there's something wrong. But if you lose a sale or you don't get a job or whatever else you're funding for your startup, whatever your thing is, I work with teams on that a lot, saying, how can we be more resilient? How can we get back up fast when we get knocked down? Because life is going to knock us down in a variety of ways. And so this 5-5-5 is easy to remember. It's easy to use. It's easy to share. People start incorporating in their conversations. Okay, we're going to complain about this for 5 hours, and then we're never going to talk about it again.
Man, I didn't think you'd actually have like a numbered system, like with all kinds of stuff. I just thought you might have like a, count to 10, whatever. Of course you got a number system.
Well, you told me you have the Wim Hof breathing that'll help. I've done that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even in like a very short, even if it's something like, what's the Louis C.K. joke? My vacation is when I get my kids in the car seat and then walk around the car.
That 5 seconds is a long
5
time.
seconds is his vacation.
And that's when I would do it sometimes when I'm just stressed out.
Yeah, it's more about just focusing on something that's not what you're stressed about, I think. Focus on your breathing. Focus on whatever, some small task.
Yeah, it'll take me out of it, really, whatever I was thinking about. Because I'm now I have to focus on this breathing method that I can't remember the rhythm to and have to look it up.
I've only told you 100 times.
Oh my God, I'm doing something else wrong. Yeah, another reason to beat myself up.
Well, I take your presence for granted because I'm like, I'll just see Eric, soon.
He'll tell me.
And he'll remind me. But it's one of those things like, everybody has anxiety. I wish we had kind of a kind of terror level color system or something because actually that's probably bad because that didn't work either. But something where it's like it can tell you kind of how some people have anxiety that's so crippling. It's so elastic, I'd say. Like in the anxiety or depression to me or any addiction, they all really come to fruition when they impede you from doing what like normal tasks or normal thought process. Is that fair to say? Yes.
Well, what I love about 5-5-5 is it can also help you in your personal life, not just career stuff. So when my dad died 8 years ago, I wish I had this tool because I could go back to my younger self and say, 5 days from now, you're still going to be pretty upset and grieving. But so let's do it another 5-5-5. How about 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years from now? 5 years from now, you're still going to miss him, but I promise you won't be this sad. So that is another way to allow yourself to not let these monumental things happen, bring you down for long periods of time. Again, zooming out and saying, I'm the movie director. Let me visualize myself 5 years from now functioning. Like my mom also recently passed away, and I was talking to my godson who's 10, and I said, you know, the irony of life, and I tried to explain to him what the circle of life is, and he hadn't heard that concept before. And I said, well, ironically, 2 friends of mine had twins on the same day my mom died. And he said, oh. And I said, can you imagine how crowded the planet would be if nobody died? And you could see his brain starting to process that. And, you know, that was sort of it helped me with my grief.
Do you think because it minimized it a bit?
It didn't minimize it. It's just, again, it goes back to an acceptance of what is. Nobody lives forever, and it's not meant to be that way. And we may want them to live forever, but realistically, that wouldn't be the right thing either. So it didn't minimize my grief so much as it helped. As you know, you teach a child something, you're relearning it yourself sometimes. I'm sure you guys have experienced that as dads. So me, as a godfather, it was just a reminder of this is the circle of life, and that you know, the irony is I was, you know, dealing with my mom's hospice stuff. My friends were out of the country and had all their baby gifts sent to my house. So I had a garage full of, you know, baby stuff, which is preparing for new life. At the same time, I was dealing with my mom in the hospice. So
that's a crazy duality. Yeah.
I think it's about perspective, you know, when you're explaining it to somebody else. If it were me, I'd sort of remove myself from the scenario as though I'm, you know, an observer of myself and then explaining it. And it kind of helps put things in perspective.
Yeah. Sometimes a way I'll deal with it if I'm running hot, like I like to call it, I will almost say out loud, like, what am I stressed about? And really try to like break it down like I would if Eric was in the rooms, because he used to see me go manic in our office back in the day and be like, you need to chill. And I was like, yeah. And it would,
well, I mean, in those times, you know, we both had a lot going on, and it was, thank God we were together. We were going through the same thing because, like, you know, we were each other's, I don't even know, guardians, whatever you want to call it, but we kept each other in check, thank God.
Right, we complement each other. Thank God it didn't happen the same exact time, because then we would trauma bond and be like all emo all the time. I just watched the Batman again, the emo Batman.
Oh, okay.
I just heard that as relationship advice. You have an agreement with your spouse or partner. We can both go crazy, but just not at the same time.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to stay sane.
Yeah.
So if you want to go crazy for the next hour, go ahead, and then it'll be my turn. Yeah. You know, if your car got stolen or whatever you want to flip out about.
Right. Are you done? Good, because I got a lot to say.
One thing we used to have in our household, and this is my ex-wife, my then wife, would kind of bring it up, was like, we can't go to bed mad, you know, like or if you do, tomorrow's a different day. Like, you're allowed to kind of get it out, but tomorrow, you know, try to shake it off, kind of thing. You're allowed to be upset. 5 it.
Yep.
Yeah. I think all of those techniques are hovering around. Yours is more formal and better, but they're hovering around like, take yourself out of it and try to look at yourself as if you're on shrooms. Psilocybin. Getting out there. So
it's all about what the story is we're telling ourselves. Right?
Ooh.
Very nice.
You went right, birth, death, act 1 and 3. And you're in the middle, act 2. Nice. Everything's in a story form for you.
It is.
Do you find yourself kind of templating a lot of answers or conversations in story mode because you've seemed like you've kind of mastered this as a natural framework, the way you speak after watching a few videos?
Right. Well, it is my specialty and my level of expertise, and I love sharing it and giving it to other people, because unlike sports or performing, you know, you don't have to be born with Lady Gaga's talent. We all can become good storytellers. And one of my favorite examples of this impacting a client was, he's an orthopedic surgeon who had me helping him craft his story about his product. And I taught him the 4 steps of what a good story is. And then he said he was putting his 8-year-old daughter to bed. And she said, "Daddy, tell me a story." And he ignored the tell me part and just said, "Okay, I'm going to read you Goodnight Moon." No, don't read me a story. Tell me one. And he said, "I had a moment of panic. And then I remembered you taught me how to tell a story." And so to tell a really good story, you tell a story that somebody sees themselves in. So I said, once upon a time, there was this little girl. She was about your age. She had the same hair color as you, same eye color, but her name was this. And then he's off and running. And so that made me feel great because I made him a hero to his daughter that night.
Yeah, you definitely inspired me to do that with my kids since the interview we had the first time around. Because I used to do that, improv a story and make basically multiverse versions of the kids in the story. And
they started picking it apart, pointing out plot holes.
I made it too Germanic and dark.
Yeah.
Just to see if I could get them to laugh, and that was a bad idea.
And then the monster eats them.
Right.
I can't go to sleep now.
All those fairy tales are horrible when you look at the real versions.
There are German rooted, I think.
And it's one of those things where it's very valuable though if you can kind of. I don't know how you would do this. Like, if you were, I want to get back into kind of boxing a little bit to kind of get in shape. But my motor memory is it's there, but it's not all there. And to get back into it, I got to ease into it, right? And I feel like I'd have to figure out 10 minutes a day to kind of train my brain to think in story mode when I have to have a formal answer for a lot of things. Is that fair to say? Is there exercises you did to get in that mindset?
Yes. It's the more you practice anything, the better you get at it, easier it becomes. So if you just start, I teach people 3 kinds of stories to tell. Your own story of origin. How'd you get into being a podcast host or a lawyer or architect or whatever it is you do? And then the second story is your company story. How'd you come up with the name for your podcast or the name? What does sweat equity mean to you? Is it just simply working hard for no money, or is there something else in it that you relate to from your sports background? We have a company story. What are the values of this company? And then the third one is turning a case study into a case story where you paint a picture that people see themselves on and they see themselves wanting to go on the journey with you as their Sherpa. So I tell people, don't get overwhelmed with, oh my God, I have to have so many different stories. Just say, this week, I'm working on my story of origin, how I got into what I'm doing. I'm going to practice it with my friends and coworkers and maybe even a couple of strangers and see how it lands. And I use that lens of, is it clear, is it concise, and is it compelling? As a checklist that I ask people after I've told a story, was it clear or did I confuse you? Was it concise enough for you to remember it and repeat it? And did it make you feel anything? I feel like I know you a little bit better knowing that that's how you got into this. And then you do the same thing for the company story and the case story. And once you've got those, that's one a week, you're just focusing on one kind of story every week. And by the end of that month, you're like, I feel like I'm a little bit a better storyteller. I want to practice the story at least 3 times during the week. And it's not overwhelming. And if you keep doing that, like anything, you'll go from 10 push-ups to 20 to on and on and on. So.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
I thought you had,
I think, no. I think
you had a dad burp and stuff.
Oh no, it wasn't burp. It was just, I can see trying to do this and then just being like, "Are you for real trying to tell the story to the Walmart cashier again, or whatever?" And really not getting a lot of practice in.
Well, as I was thinking about it, I guess I was thinking about it in a way you just have to prepare your, like someone who's very introverted is trying to work on that, not be so so introverted when people are talking to them. They might do practice stuff in the mirror. They might do that kind of thing. What about journaling? Just doing a kind of journaling kind of
yes.
To get that framework. Is that big? Are you big on that?
I'm big on anything that helps you celebrate becoming what I call a progressionist.
Not a perfectionist. Oh, yeah.
Progressionist. See? Right? So if you journal, today I was just a little bit better.
Who did prep, dog? Who did that prep? Ooh.
Oh,
sorry. We don't do a lot of prep.
I spent an extra minute in the cold. Today I spent an extra minute in the cold ice bath, longer than I did last week. And so you journal that, your brain goes, ooh, endorphins, lighting up like a video game, right? Because we are wired to celebrate progress. And if we journal it and we're focusing on a skill like storytelling or any other skill, then your brain goes, okay, keep going. We like this celebration of progress. We don't have to, hit the top of Mount Everest and be a black belt in it on the first day, but we're celebrating because whatever we focus on, we get more of. So if we focus on celebrating our progress, then of course we're going to be incentivized to keep practicing.
So you mentioned ice baths. Did we talk about that last time? I don't recall.
No, but I know that's in your bio, and he referenced it earlier.
Oh, okay. So is that something I'm curious about routines?
Yes.
What time you're waking up? Are you working out every day? What do you got going on?
Well, I take cold showers every morning.
Good. Great start.
In fact, the opening to my talk is I'm standing in a cold shower, shivering. It's my third cold shower of the day. And then I say, how in the world did I find myself taking cold showers? And well, I did some research. And it turns out it burns fat, fights depression, and reduces inflammation. It had me, it burns fat.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
in fact, I thought, well, maybe I don't even have to work out anymore. I'll just take cold showers. But that didn't really work. So that whole premise of getting yourself in a discomfort mode, and from a Stoic philosophy of how it builds up your tolerance for, I don't have to be perfectly comfortable every single second of my life. I'm purposely putting myself in an uncomfortable situation, not only for the three things I just rattled off that it does, but also for the mental, I can tolerate this. So when my plane gets canceled or whatever else might happen in my life, my dad or mom dies, I'm not so devastated because I've never been uncomfortable before. I've built up a tolerance for, if I lost everything, those fear-based future thoughts that some people have, myself included, I'd still be okay. The thing that's really helped me lately is this analogy of when a bird is on a branch, it never for a second confuses the branch with its own security. Because the bird has wings and it can fly away at any moment. And so I love that metaphor for all of us. So it's like if you decide to take a job, like I might land here for a year or 5 years. I'm in charge of deciding how long I land on this branch or this project or whatever it is we're doing, that we don't suddenly give all our power away to the job, the funding, the relationship that we're in. But I'm the bird, I've got the wings. And that, for me, has really helped me lately.
That's a great metaphor. What bird did you think of?
I didn't think of a bird.
You didn't visualize one?
I was looking at the branch in my mind.
Interesting.
I went finch, and then I changed it to a crow.
Oh, okay, I was wondering.
I know. I know you love birds. People who have birds indoors, I think they're disgusting. Just by the way, I just wanted to throw it out.
You don't like a talking parrot? That's fun.
Oh, you like pet dander everywhere? And then it's just like
I don't know. Is that a thing they do? Dander? They have feathers.
Yeah. They have. I worked for an air purifier company, and I had to go to a pet trade show. Ball in. And I was like the only normal person at this trade show. It was all weird
snake
pet
guys
people.
Yeah.
But yeah, took care. Rabbit Air took care of pet dander from birds because they have it too.
Okay. I learned something today.
Birds don't fucking like us. Just by the way, they don't like us. They're dinosaurs. They hate us. Crows are the coolest because they talk and they can trick people and
super smart. And they use tools.
Yep. They communicate with each other.
They have funerals.
I saw some vultures on a roof, and I was completely freaked out by how big they are and how they hop.
Yeah. Well, plus the Crow, the movie, is bad, good, bad.
I haven't watched it since it came out.
R.I.P. Brandon Lee. But it's one of those things. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't get to kind of the main storytelling topic. We have a lot of people that talk to us about lead gen and marketing funnels. And I go, well, it doesn't really just stop with lead gen, right? We're going to take this lead gen model of a big funnel, marketing and sales funnel, which are really two funnels if you really look at it. And then we need to apply it on talent. And I know you're big. How do you use storytelling to recruit that kind of top talent? Because that would be the kind of the campaign message, the branding message of the company. That's how I would define it. I don't know how you would call it.
I was hired to speak at a Coca-Cola summit for the CMOs of all of their biggest clients. They call them quick service restaurants, by the way. QSR is not fast food.
Well, it's the ones that you can sit down in, right? That's the big thing.
So Domino's Pizza was one.
Yeah.
And I talked to the marketing director and I said, what's your biggest marketing challenge? And he said, recruiting top talent, tech people. And I was so surprised because my brain is always oriented to marketing is about consumer focus. And I said, oh, interesting. He said, yeah, we used to say, we're a pizza company who has this really cool app. It lets you know who put the pizza in the oven and who's delivering it with different names and tracking all that. Would you like to come work here on that project? But now we say we're an e-commerce company that happens to sell pizza. And I said, oh, that sounds like Amazon on purpose, right? Yeah. As for a tech person who's considering which kind of career you're going to go into. So how you tell that initial story, your hook of the culture, has a big factor. And then recently, Berkshire Hathaway, the real estate division, home services, asked me to speak to their team on how do we recruit the top 5% from our competitors to come work here. The people who are managing our office are really good at selling homes, but they don't have a lot of training on how to get the top producers to come over here and bring their book of business. And I said, well, we go back to the basics. What made you become a real estate agent? Your own story of origin. What kind of leader are you? Do you have a story to tell about, do you micromanage people or do you leave them alone, right? And then what is the company's culture? You need to tell that story. And then finally, you need a story of someone who did leave the competitors and has come here and how much better their life is, not only revenue-wise, but personal-wise. Maybe they have more work-life balance. Maybe they are using some new tools or whatever it is. So again, it's 3 stories through the lens of the person you're targeting to come work there sees himself in that story and goes, God, that sounds like me. I'd like to have more work-life balance and more money.
Which is marketing 101 for campaigns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any retail you see, they're trying to put a version of you that's the Dove soap kind of. Remember the Dove soap where they had just all different kinds of women different shapes, sizes, ethnicities, because they were like, we're going to cover the whole market share, basically, of women.
It's disruptive because every other beauty brand, soap brand, is targeting the classic model. And so if you're the brand that's going, we see you, we hear you, we appreciate you, we celebrate you even, well, then you've got that emotional tie. And that's what really storytelling is so great at, is giving the emotional connection that causes people to change brands, change jobs, hire you. There's some emotional reason that people make a decision to change their behavior or buy. And when you tell a story that you're tugging at heartstrings, and then it's really about storytelling, listening, and empathy. If you learn to master those 3 soft skills, you'll have the magical emotional connection. And whether it's, that's why really good marketers will listen to current clients. So in my particular case, I work with sales teams in tech and healthcare. And so I've listened to them say, oh, we are so tired of coming in second place when we pitch against competitors. Guess what's on my landing page about hiring me as a speaker or the online course? Tired of coming in second place? So they go, oh my God, are you in my head? So that's an example of using storytelling and listening to what
you listened to the problem.
You listened,
and it happens multiple times over in different iterations, but the same problem. They're losing the pitch.
Yeah.
And so you're playing to that. And we're working on case stories, not case studies, landing pages as well. So this is a good reminder. This might be one of the only episodes I listened to back.
Right. I actually was like, oh, do I have a notebook? I need to take notes.
And on the other side, on the flip side of that, a lot of resume experts will tell you, here's your resume, here's how we can technically make it professional. But when you're in the interview, make a story out of it, and and it needs, just like any story, it needs a, I was struck with this problem. Yep. Here's an intro. I was struck with this problem. Here's how I solved it. Is usually how they kind of position it. Is that how do you use storytelling to get a job?
Well, the kinds of questions you're going to get asked are, tell me a story about a challenge you had. Bring your resume to life. All those kinds of questions. And so we know that's going to be asked. It's imperative that we prepare and not be a deer in headlights when someone asks you that question. Because you can tell if you thought about it or never thought about it. Like, what would you say to your 13-year-old self? You could tell I had never heard that question before. So I tell people it's the same 4 steps. You need exposition. You need to describe a problem, and then your solution. And then more importantly, what happens after that solution. So let me give you an example. When I was interviewing for a job, I said, 10 years ago, Jaguar reached out to me when I was selling advertising for an upscale fashion magazine and said, our biggest challenge is we want people to have an emotional connection to the car and think of it as moving sculpture, but we don't know how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, all right, we came up with an event idea where we would target 10 couples that had cars whose leases were expiring in 6 months that were in the competitive set. They'd get picked up in a Jaguar, taken to the magazine's Golden Globe party in the car, and then from there to a private room at a dinner where the chef would be there, as well as somebody from the Museum of Art talking about art. And so you'd have a Jaguar representative and a Museum of Art representative having a dinner conversation with people. So Jaguar literally became part of the conversation. And in between courses, there was another Jaguar outside that people could take a test drive around the block. And that resulted in 10 ad pages, $500,000 worth of revenue, and Jaguar sold 3 cars that night. So instead of just saying, oh, I'm someone who's creative, I show it in the story. And I not only generated revenue for me, but I generated revenue for the advertiser.
That's some amazing psyops too, in a good way.
Yeah.
That's because you kind of got their pleasure centers with the car, with the event. The car takes you to all the events. You have sculpture art around you the whole time, but it probably never really. They had to ask with intent, I'm sure, to test drive whatever car was out there and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, interesting. And then before we let you go, how do you use storytelling to be more resilient? I'm guessing the better way to ask that is maybe in a professional kind of way, in a career mode. But
right.
if you have kind of non-work resiliency.
Well, for me, it's about how fast you get back up after you get knocked down. So the number one way is, what story am I telling myself? Am I telling myself I'm a loser, I'm an idiot, I should get fired for this, no one, I'm not enough? Or are you saying to yourself, everybody makes mistakes, I'm human, I don't have to be perfect to be loved or accepted, and what did I learn from this, and how fast can I shake this off? I have a quick story. When I heard Bonnie St. John speak at the TEDx event right before me, she had lost the lower half of her left leg as a child, but she went on to compete in the Paralympics. So she's standing on stage with a skirt showing her prosthetic leg and her Paralympic medals around her neck. And she said, in the downhill skiing, they would take the average of your 2 times. In the first mountain, she was the fastest. She was in first place. Then the second mountain was much icier, and everybody was falling, and she also fell. And then when they combined the 2 times, they said, oh, you came in second place. While you were the fastest going down the first mountain, you were not the fastest one getting back up after you fell. So that time you took to get back up after you fell is what caused you to come in second place. And so it's a great story about how fast do we get back up? We're all going to fall down. And that really is the secret to how fast can we let go of the no's and the negatives. And that's how it all goes back to, what story am I telling myself and other people? Are you playing the victim? You can't believe what that client said to me, how stupid they are to not buy from me, whatever it is. Or, you know what? On to the next. I'm letting it go.
Well, John, the pitch whisperer, we appreciate you coming back on. We'll have to have you on, maybe
another 6 months, I guess. Geez, I feel like it just happened. It just happened.
We'll figure out a time that works for you. And if anybody's out there that wants to hire him, it's johnlivesay.com. and turn the mundane stories into cocaine stories. I don't know. I was trying to come up with a slogan.
You can use that if you want. John.
Yeah.
You can use
Oh,
that.
thanks.
Look, I just take a little vig on that every time it's used. No big deal. But
A little.
I wish I liked it, but we're not that kind of Florida here. That's all. That's Miami style. But thank you for coming on. Appreciate it, and so much wisdom. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.